At Kroger, fresh groceries are our thing, so we check your delivery order for freshness at every step from farm to store and pick and pack every veggie in your free pickup order with care, because we treat your food the way we'd want ours to be treated. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
Get more ways to save at the Buy 5 or More Save $1 each sale. Just buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
We're talking about podcasts. We're talking about itty bitty podcast. A podcast.
Very Many Monday, Chunkies. I'm Carter.
I'm Doge.
Did y'all catch your tail?
Yeah, I caught a little tail.
Oh, for sure. Was it just like, did you tell I went high?
It was just,
Yeah.
Chunkies, I mute myself when we're doing this because the timing could be off for us.
Because Carter sings too good, so it would distract me from being able to say my name next.
Yeah, it's happened before. Did we try not muting it, or did y'all just always know what to do?
no, we tried. We tried.
I think we probably tried not muting it back at in the halcyon days of early work from home realities when we all thought we'd be here for 2 weeks.
Look, Zoom is a
know.
great program, and we're all really thankful for it. And it's pretty real time, but singing reveals the nasty bumps and ridges within the program.
I've always said that about singing.
Before we reveal our own nasty
Hey,
bumps and
did you
ridges-
say your name ever? Third boy?
Yes.
Yeah,
You did?
you did.
I didn't hear it.
Well, I pay attention when you talk, but it doesn't seem like you pay attention when I talk.
Yeah, I'm just reading quotes from this episode, to be honest.
One of my... Why was I saying an S word? One of my
Don't
favorite
say the
seasons...
S-cuss. What's wrong with you?
Don't say the S-cuss. We're not explicit. One of my favorite seasons of the movie business is award season.
Sure.
I think ever since I was a kid, I would be watching the Oscars because I thought it was so fun. I really am not totally sure what my fascination with that was. I think I like measurables for certain things, especially in performance when art is a little bit more subjective. All that to say, off of that lesson there, the awards for TV and movies, the big ones are starting to ramp up a little bit. And I just wanted to give a quick glance at, if you are like us and you like to go see some of these movies that are going to be Oscar-nominated movies, that are likely to be Oscar-nominated movies, or you're just looking for a good show to watch. I think a lot of the times if I'm looking at, for instance, today I'm going to talk about a few of the nominations for the Screen Actors Guild, for the SAG Awards. And these are, the Screen Actors Guild are the actors that are in the Screen Actors Guild, which is basically everybody in Hollywood that's saying like, hey, these are our favorite performances. These are always good tools for me to go try some shows that I've maybe never heard of, maybe push me to actually watch some of these shows that all of my friends were already saying you should watch this. Everyone in our Patreon Discord was like, hey, you should watch this show. Now it's getting, 5 nominations. You're like, okay, I should do this. Especially for those what we usually call Angelica Film Center type movies. The kind of independent films that tend to be such Oscar films that every now and then we'll have those Patreon episodes on that movie of the year. I would say last year's Nomadland, that's kind of like it's not a box office ball. You're not trying to get that movie
Right.
for a box office ball. But anyways.
It's a bit fartsy.
It's a bit fartsy.
Is what we're saying. Yeah.
Sure.
It's just a bit fartsy. The great thing about the Screen Actors Guild Awards is that you also have TV. So I'll do a little bit of that first. But some of these TV nominations, there's a lot of people in there for White Lotus. If you haven't watched that yet,
It's weird.
I would
man.
absolutely watch it. It's weird. There's
Really
season
enjoyed
2 is in the works. They've got Aubrey Plaza on board for that. And so I'm
Oh,
really
wow. I
excited.
didn't know that.
Yep. We have Mayor of Easttown. No surprise there. We have Succession. No surprise there. Squid Game is getting nominations in the Screen Actors Guild, which is a
Still
huge
have
deal.
not watched.
Me neither.
Neither of y'all have watched Squid Game.
No.
No,
That's
there
crazy.
there were other things, man.
I don't like
Other
Morning
thinking.
Show. I mean, we're reading all these other things, right? Ted Lasso, Morning Show, Only Murders in the Building.
That's next on my
Hacks,
list.
The Chair. Something that I hadn't heard of, but it's getting a handful of nominations is Scenes from a Marriage, which sounds, if it's anything like Marriage Story, it's probably depressing when really realistic.
Yeah.
Then we have, there was one more that I wanted to say.
Isn't Book of Boba Fett nominated for a lot of awards?
We'll get to
it's
that.
So good.
I don't know if it will be, to be honest. Oh, The Great and then The Kaminsky Method. Anyways, the movies that are standing out right now are currently Power of the Dog, Benedict Cumberbatch, Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, quite a cast there.
I guess I have to see that because Benedict was my first actor pick for Box Office Ball Season 2. I do have Benedict on my team.
Yes. Probably Belfast, West Side Story. I saw West Side Story a couple days ago.
How is it?
It's so good. It's so
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah. I know there's some apparent sketchiness with Ansel Elgort. I haven't read about any of it. I don't know the details, but I know that he's in hot water right now, and that has been hurting. Yeah, he apparently was. I don't know if it's Armie Hammer-esque or if it's more serious. I'm not sure. But I know that he is in some hot water, and I think has put Baby Driver 2 at risk.
Oh no. Ansel.
Yeah.
Baby, B-A-B-Y.
It's unfortunate.
King
You guys
Richard.
saw that Armie Hammer didn't get a new character poster for Death on the Nile, right?
I wouldn't think so.
They released all the character posters, and they're like, we probably not gonna make one.
Probably skip that one. Probably
not gonna make one of the people eater himself.
He wasn't even in the trailer that I saw.
The
Not even a scene
two-eyed,
of him.
no-horned, grounded human people eater.
Oh, man. Nightmare Alley, Tick, Tick, Boom, Belfast.
Okay, now Tick, Tick, Boom, me did see.
I heard it was good.
Love,
it was
very
too.
good, very much. I can't believe y'all haven't watched that. That movie is awesome.
That might happen this weekend too. But all that to say, it's starting to get to be awards season. I think it's early March this year for the Oscars. But if you're looking for, and here's the thing, guys, half of what I mentioned for those movies are streaming. And that's just kind of where we are now, is great movie releases and these that tend to not make as much in theaters are kind of the easiest ones to say, let's just put it on a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Because then HBO Max gets to say Oscar-nominated film section, which the massive thumbnails, we've all seen that before. So just be on the lookout for that stuff.
We will do. I mean, this has been sort of an unspoken tradition every year, but we will do a Patreon episode about whatever movie wins Best Picture. And so if you love awards and you want to hear us talk about probably Green Book again, I heard they're going to just nominate Green Book for a second time.
Every year.
It just gets
People,
another Best Picture award.
It makes sense that it was Best Picture because people still talk about that movie. You know,
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about any.
I'll
other
never
good movie right
forget.
now.
I will never forget that won Best Picture. So they probably deserved it. You're right.
Something that might not win any awards. Let's talk about episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett.
I am out on this show. I'm done.
You can't be though.
I've lost all
we gotta
interest.
watch
You are
it.
legally obligated.
I understand.
We're gonna keep
I'm
talking
saying
about
that
it.
if I didn't have a podcast, that last episode would have been the last episode of Book of Boba Fett that I ever watched.
Yeah. What gives, and this is interesting because I want us to talk about some of these moments that were, I'll say though, in a Catwoman kind of way, this is the most excited I've been to talk about an episode of the Book of Boba Fett. But what do you think? So it's kind of funny. It feels meta to me because the thing that made Boba Fett get on anyone's map to ultimately be a character that we gave some substance to was one of the worst things that Star Wars ever did, which was that holiday special. He shows up as a cartoon, right? And now you don't need to go back to your roots though.
Yeah,
like
right.
Some of the things that were happening in episode 3 were pretty ridiculous. And I was disappointed. I was like, because there is something fantastical about Star Wars, but there's rules, right? There's kind of these rules that feel unwritten of like, this still
Natasha
feels like a
Bedingfield,
Star
sure.
Wars vibe.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, even though there's a lot of the hands that were on The Mandalorian on this show, it feels completely different.
It's the biker
I
gang
can't
for me.
feel it's a lot of things for me. Yeah, the street youths are certainly part of it.
The biker gang that's like
Wait.
80s. Go ahead. Sorry.
Do you
Go ahead.
mean, no, well, I'm just clarifying. There's 2, I guess, biker gangs here. There's the Vespa Street Youths, and then there's the Pike Syndicate have their like Harley speeders.
I quite like the Pike Syndicate.
Okay.
I think the Pike Syndicate stuff is
So
good.
you mean the
and
Vespa
interesting.
riding
I mean, the 80s punks.
Yeah, right.
The cyberpunk 80s punks. That sucks. That's not Star Wars at all.
You know what's so interesting to me though, and I feel sorry for the people that had the idea for these bikes because it feels like the culture of Star Wars, like in movies and shows, has been like this massive risk. There's always a couple of these moments, like a visual or a ship or an alien, like a character that you watch documentaries about, and later they're like, well, he hated it. George hated it. George didn't want to, like all these different things that we didn't want to do. And they're like, but how could you not? Right? Like, so we have the can't miss of Baby Yoda, and then we have the Vespa Street Youths, right? Did someone just get too high on their own stuff? And
I think it's Robert Rodriguez trying to channel his passion for Spy Kids 3D.
Correct.
Bringing these kids back.
Correct.
That is like so... The thing about Star Wars is that in space, it's still 1977. At this point, it's still 1977 to 1983. So this culture that Star Wars is attempting to parody here did not exist yet. And I understand that is super flimsy. But part of the thing that makes these shows set around this era in galactic history feel like they all go together is that we're pulling from very specific... Like all the dudes have long sideburns and these weird woolly 70s mustaches, right? Like it's something about it is just still kind of the retrofuturism of the 70s. And when we pull in the like 80s glam android punk stuff here with these Vespa kids.
It's so interesting.
It's bad. And that's probably a super dump for the show for me. I know we wait till the end, and I've said a couple of things that could be super dumps for the show, but like, these kids, the need to reinvent, like there already exists within Star Wars a biker culture. There's swoop bikes, which are essentially unregulated speeder bikes, like the speeders that Luke and Leia ride on Endor. Unregulated, so they don't have a regulator, so that means they can go as fast as possible, usually described as just an engine with a seat. Those are illegal to race on most planets. There's underground rings of racing swoop bikes. Like, we didn't need to invent very slow space Vespas for these kids to ride.
Yeah.
That was the slowest speed car chase.
Oh my gosh.
The car chase itself was also bad.
It was very bad.
It was like I don't know, it was like a kids movie. It was like a decom car race.
Oh man.
I felt like it was like when they had the think tank together and they were like, what should we do? It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of all the browns and everything. It's kind of sandy. And they're like, oh, like from Greece, Sandy? And they're like, yeah, I love the race that they do at the end. Oh, the Grease Lightning number? Yeah, and the retro diner.
Let's just do that. What if we just do that?
We don't have any idea for the bikes yet. Because
so
I definitely felt like I was going to see Olivia Newton-John in all black leather cheering them on.
It was 80s android cyberpunks riding 50s inspired.
No. It was so strange.
So I think that Robert Rodriguez has a real problem directing action. Robert Rodriguez directed the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, which is one of my least favorite chubby half hours of Star Wars content. He directed this episode, which I think was quite bad. And then he also directed the chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, The Tragedy, which is where Mando and Grogu go to the ancient Jedi site, and it's where Boba's reintroduced. And that's the one that looks like they just went out in his backyard and shot it with an old DV video camera. I just think he has a real problem with action on particularly, I don't know if it's directing inside the volume, the big set that they've built with the like LED walls, just something about it. He cannot seem to make anything compelling.
Yeah, it's like saying he's not good at what he's known for doing. Because when you think Rodriguez, you think like action. It's going to be action. And what you don't normally
I also think of Shark Boy and Lava Girl,
which is an action movie.
Sure, and it's really good too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But yeah, it's funny to have him and then to have Taika, who also has directed, some of the better action pieces in The Mandalorian. He did a couple of the first episodes and the new Thor movies. And it's just like, this guy's also the Jojo Rabbit dude. So like, what do you...
Yeah.
He's flexing on something that you're supposed to be known for.
Sure.
It was pretty bad in that we see the action fall in a lot of opportunities. I know we all loved our Maximus Decimus Wookiee that was
Oh, yeah.
introduced.
Chrysanthemum.
Dude, that fight scene was horrible.
Yeah, that was a huge bummer.
Horrible.
It was like, I've seen better stuff in WWF, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can turn on Monday Night Raw, and it's much, much better
Yeah.
than what we had
That
here.
fight scene made Falcon and the Winter Soldier look like John Wick.
This to me, like, this feels like about 40 minutes of show that's being stretched over 6 episodes that are of varying lengths. But like the script here for the Book of Boba Fett is so bad.
I want to see how many times in the script there is a note that says, Boba and crew return to Mayor's house. Boba and crew return to headquarters. Boba and crew
Hang
return
on.
to Mayor's house.
Do you mean Mayor McCheese?
Right.
Mayor
and crew.
Mayor Makshaiz. That's supposed to sound like Mayor McCheese, right?
Is it? That's funny if it is.
Is it supposed to?
I mean, it's not
No,
actual
I
funny.
would doubt it's
If you
supposed to.
accidentally made Space Mayor McCheese, then I think we should take your Star Wars keys away from you.
Mayor Makshaiz.
Here's what
yeah,
I'm
that's pretty
afraid
good. I didn't
of.
put that
Mayor-
together.
Mayor
Anyway,
Makshaiz.
it's just even the flashbacks are like Boba runs back to Sand People to Tusken
Yeah.
Raider camp. Boba runs to new place. Boba runs back to Tusken
Yeah.
Raider camp. Boba runs to new.
Do you
place.
guys
Like,
have an era you prefer? Do you prefer the present or the sandy past? with
Sand
Boba?
People?
Sand People past is so much more interesting
Not
to
even
me.
close.
But that's over
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
because Anakin came through early and
Yeah.
just said, "I'm done.
I guess so.
I'm all the women and the children."
There was a part of my brain that I was like, "Oh my god, it was what Anakin did," and I was like, "Oh wait, no, that's way after."
Cannot-
My
Way
God, that was
after.
like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so one of my fears was, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think the character of Boba Fett in Star Wars culture, I don't think can be ruined by a bad season of a show. I think, I don't know. I think still the will of the Star Wars people will focus on the things that they liked more. We've seen people do that in the trilogies. It's like, well, at least we have the originals. You know, at least we have New Hope, Return of the Jedi.
Right.
But I think something
Right.
that I'm afraid of is...
I think since about 1999, Star Wars fans have been used to just ignoring the parts they don't like.
I
Yes.
think,
Here's
yes, I agree. I think we got The Mandalorian and we were like, yeah, Star Wars is back, baby. Star Wars lives on TV now. That's where the good Star Wars is going to happen. I think The Mandalorian's good.
Yeah.
I think that the Star Wars universe is absolutely filled to the brim with opportunities to be really bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And Mando got not lucky. I think that they had a skilled and deft hand at the wheel, and that nobody actually knows what to do with Star Wars right now.
Yeah, I would say that. One thing that I'm hoping doesn't happen in this season is, and I don't want to spoil Mandalorian, and I'm going to try and be pretty vague about it, but part of Mandalorian...
It would be pretty wild to watch Boba Fett and have not watched Mandalorian.
I know. Part of Mandalorian, especially with the most recent season, the end there is like bringing back an OG. Like bringing back somebody and be like, oh my God, how cool is that they're back?
Right.
I really hope, but I'm afraid they might try and do that here. And it's not like I'm not talking like Jabba, because we hear all about Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba dead.
And
Jabba
he's
dead.
gone. But I'm saying like what we have now in terms of references to the older stuff, right? To the stuff from the original trilogy. Like I
Yeah.
hope they don't CGI anyone
Like a young
huge.
Harrison Ford or something.
Yeah,
Right.
please don't. Like,
Yeah.
because at this point, it's going to look really bad because you're
This
putting
already-
it in the middle of something that's
Yeah,
boo-boo.
I mean, this is already just like, this feels like it would be something that was better suited to. Here's a 40-minute bonus on the Mandalorian season 2 DVD.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it's how
This is-
Boba got his groove back, essentially.
It's how, and it's none of the present stuff. It is just, here's how Boba got his armor. Here's how he escaped the Sarlacc and how he got his armor. But
No,
instead,
if you cut some stuff out, I would be interested in a story. What it seems like is happening here is that Boba is going to learn to be a crime boss, but with morals, is what it seems like is what he's doing.
But see, that's so dumb. We don't have a reason to want Boba. Like, the script knows that Boba Fett is this cool pop culture character that people have been obsessed with since 1980 when he appeared in The Empire Strikes Back. And so that's the only justification we have for wanting him to be a cool crime boss. Boba has done nothing in this show to demonstrate why we want, like, we didn't see what Tatooine was like under the rule of other people.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
There's no compelling reason for Boba to be in charge of Tatooine.
If we give us a reason to care about it.
Yeah, I just think the script is really bad.
Yes,
recency bias for me with The Mandalorian is, and I have to make sure, I don't know, I could wake up tomorrow morning and feel differently. But when in the Star Wars universe, in the movies, when it's finally revealed what Boba Fett looks like, it feels like seeing Mando for the first time carried far more weight and was more of a like narrative, like, whoa moment than seeing Boba, like back in the day, like seeing like, oh, this is what he is. Oh, he's the clones. And I think I want his helmet.
You're talking about like in episode 2 when we first found out that Boba was an unaltered clone. What are you talking about specifically?
Yes, I'm talking about like, so all we have ever known, like when we first knew about Boba Fett, was that he was just one of these characters, Vader-like, right? We don't know what his features are.
Just a bounty hunter.
He's a stormtrooper. Star Wars does it a lot. And then Star Wars kind of brings about this thing in like pop culture movies of like a reveal of what this person looks like. I'm sure there's something that happened, I don't know, Man in the Iron Mask or Shakespeare that I'm missing. But like that feels like a culturally, like in movies, like a big moment. And to me, I keep doing this thing where I'm comparing Mando to Boba.
Yeah.
To where so much of Mando was like, look at what they're able to do without showing us this person's face.
Because we didn't see him at all until the season 1 finale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we
because
saw
of
Pedro
like a
Pascal's
near-death
face.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And barely, but then it goes right back on and please stop looking at my face. I know Boba is counterculture to Mandalorian culture, right? So he doesn't care anymore.
Well, Mando is part of like a super, super strict little sect.
Oh, that's
like
right.
Extremely,
because Bo-Katan, we saw a lot of her in Mando. Yeah.
Exactly.
So all that to say, I just find all these things that make me wish Mando was back. Because I think, I think they're doing I think the actor, please remind me, Boba Fett.
Tamara Morrison is great. I really like Tamara Morrison. But I wish it was just, it's not Boba Fett. If it's all we're seeing is Tamara Morrison. Does that make sense?
He is being written poorly and against his own strengths, I believe.
Yeah.
I think to be Boba, he is fantastic. I think whatever they're trying to turn Boba into, he is not suited for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm very, very disappointed with the Book of Boba Fett. In a way that I, by the way, fully expected to be.
Really?
Yes. I have grown to completely mistrust the name Star Wars of any. If it is new Star Wars content, it is guilty until proven innocent in my brain.
I feel like since Mando, it's been pretty enjoyable though. Like I loved Mando. I loved the newest season of Clone Wars. I really enjoyed Bad Batch.
Yeah, and Clone Wars and all that stuff feels like it gets a pass because that's a pre-existing thing that we already knew was good.
Sure. Bad Batch wasn't though. And I think Bad Batch turned out good.
But Bad Batch hatched from Clone
Bad
Wars.
Batch hatched.
Bad Batch hatched from
Bad Batch hatched.
Clone Wars.
We are rhyming boys.
My point is, I am to a point in my life where when I see a new Star Wars property is coming out, I do not get excited. I get sick and nervous. And I go, I know this is going to probably be bad.
So does this have you worried about things like Kenobi and things like Ahsoka?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely it does.
Interesting.
I think that there is not only every chance, but a great chance that they beef it.
Yeah.
Makes me sad.
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just saying track record. I don't want that. And I'm not trying to, I hate being the guy that's like, well, let me phrase that. I'm very naturally the guy that's like, that's going to suck. I hate out loud being the guy.
I hate people knowing you're that guy.
I hate dragging other people into that spirit with me.
Told you.
Right. But yeah, I'm just telling you. There is every chance that a year from now we're sitting there going, they had it. They had everything.
So why is it? I mean, we have a whole Star Wars series in which I am very vocally anti-Disney Star Wars because I just don't think they're very good. The films.
Sure.
What is it about Star Wars though that gives that lends that sort of propensity to creators to completely beef it?
Because it has not known what it was since the original trilogy and maybe the prequel trilogy. And so since then, the door is too wide open and there is nobody really driving a ship in any direction. So it's just tell a story in this universe, but that universe doesn't have enough bumpers to keep the ball from going in the gutter.
My hope would be the next 2 or 3 years of making Star Wars content with Disney is kind of a
like a reset
job interview.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like, who's doing it well? Rob, I'm sorry, man, no more.
Yeah.
But how could
Taika's
they
got a
not see
series,
that?
doesn't he? Doesn't Taika have movies that he's supposed to be? So it's like,
So they've
That's been
essentially
rumored for a long time.
Well, they've essentially kind of indefinitely tabled all the movies that were coming out. Even
Oh,
Patty
really?
Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movies sort of just tabled. They're really only focusing on TV right now.
Star Wars tends to do this thing, I think, because of how old, like how long it's last. I think each generation gets to own something, right? Some part of Star Wars because they were the ones in that sweet spot that got to see it for the
Sure.
first time. We talk about that all the time.
When you're 8. Yeah. Star Wars is perfect when you're 8.
It's like why
Yeah.
I am such a big fan of the Phantom Menace. I can't change that.
That's why
I'm
I
sorry.
see that poster hanging on the wall behind you.
Yeah,
Exactly,
It's weird that
right?
you chose
So-
to frame it, but whatever.
I think we go through all these
He
things. and a lot of
kisses
that
it
stuff-
before he starts every podcast.
Yeah, I can see
episode.
the
It's
I can
really
see the
weird.
lip marks all over it.
That's gross, man.
A lot of that stuff is attached to specific characters. Sometimes we have mascots for that time.
Sure.
I think one of the things that gave Star Wars life and gave the motorized KitchenAids of Street Youth's life is 2 or 3 years ago, we got Baby Yoda. 2
Yeah.
words. Baby Grogu came to the world
Yeah.
and like gave steroids to taking your shot in the Star
Yeah.
Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And there's not we're not going to see in the making of Boba Fett people being like, well, that's why we never tweeted about the Street Youth Vespas because we knew like this was going to be
Exactly.
the next big merch thing. You know,
There's
as
not
much
gonna
as
be a
about
Disney-
Favreau being like, please
gallery
do not let
episode.
anybody know about him.
The thing
Yeah.
about
But-
Mando is that the vibe is right, and so
Yeah,
it could
it's a
pull
Western.
off Grogu.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Because as soon as that shell opened in episode 1 of Mando, I was like, he has to protect this thing with his life, or else I'll
Yeah.
come down there and I'll beat him up.
But see, that's a story hook. That's like
Right.
a primal, like, that's a great hook at the end of that episode. And Boba Fett has yet to have any kind of hook.
Yeah.
They're trying, unless they did and we missed it, unless they're trying Baby Rancor with Danny Trejo to
Space Machete is pretty cool.
I'm going
I
to
would
say
love to
this.
see him
He
here.
belongs. Say this.
Yeah.
He belongs
100%
there,
belongs
and
there.
I love the idea of a Rancor pet.
So
So
that's
I'll
the,
say
like,
that.
if we don't fire Chekhov's Rancor and Boba does not ride this Rancor into battle by the end
He's
of the
going
season,
to ride it.
He has to ride it.
He's going to.
He has to ride it. Robert Rodriguez also is confirmed as the director of a movie coming out called Machete in Space. So I'm wondering
Very
if it's
good.
this. I'm wondering if it's the same character. If he's just going to spin
Amazing.
off
Amazing.
Trejo's Rancor.
That's so good.
Guys, I want to kind of get a little bit of this bad taste out of our mouths. Can we play a game really quick?
Depends.
It's not the game that you think it is. I
Okay.
promise.
Okay.
That one will
Okay.
come,
Okay.
but it's going to be far more special than the end of episode 3 of Boba Fett. Let's play a little bit of the Rumpelstiltskin game, shall we?
Excellent.
Weave the yarn, guess the name, win the Rumpelstiltskin game.
Let's weave the yarn. As we are, Box Office Ball is the talk of our Discord channel right now because
Yep.
there's a handful of us that are in the draft for season 2. And so one of the great things that I like about Box Office Ball that seems to be a carbon copy of when I play fantasy sports is all of a sudden you know a lot more ahead of time about what to expect and are invested in some things you might not have been invested in before, right? So we're seeing all these movies that we're like, you know what, I didn't think I would see that, but I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot because I hope this girl gets credited for being a soup kitchen worker, right? Like all these different things that randomly happen, names that we get to
you can't
see.
keep saying stuff about. I'm
cast
still salty
members.
about it.
But some of the things that don't show up are some of the kind of movies that end up on Rumpelstiltskin. In the midst of all of this, people are still making movies that come to theaters or streaming that I don't know how many people will watch. If you looked at Box Office Ball season 1, there were a couple movies that only made about $50,000 in a season of movies that were making $1.5 billion. So these things exist.
I laugh at $50,000, but if I had $50,000, I'd be
Right.
laughing for a different reason.
If y'all haven't heard of Rumpelstiltskin, not these two, I'll always also do a refresher for Jordan and Doge. If you haven't heard of Rumpelstiltskin,
Thanks.
what we do is I'm going to read the movie info of some releases that are coming out soon that I'm assuming none of us have heard of. And then these boys have to guess the title of that movie. We start with a movie that's going to be released on January 21st. It's rated R, and it's an hour and 33
I
minutes long.
cannot watch that.
mystery thriller horror directed by Mauro Borelli,
Ooh.
1945. And this is going to be a long one, so bring out your blankets. I couldn't think of what to
Yeah,
do.
cool.
A U.S. military cargo plane loses control and violently crashes behind enemy lines in the middle of the German Black Forest. Immediately, ruthless Major Johnson, played by Mickey Rourke, of course, sends a squad of his bravest soldiers on a rescue mission to retrieve the top-secret material the plane was carrying, led by Sergeant Brewer, played by Robert Nepper, and Walsh, played by Jackson Rathbone. The soldiers venture deep into the forest near the crash site. They soon discover I was in the pronunciation, it's just hanged Nazi soldiers and other dead bodies bearing ancient magical symbols.
Cool.
Suddenly, their compasses fail, their perceptions twist, and straying from the group leads to profound horror as they're attacked by a powerful supernatural force. Fighting for their sanity and struggling to survive, they must uncover the shocking truth behind the force before the Nazis and do everything they can to remove all evidence that ever existed, even at the cost of their own lives.
Cool.
What's the name of this movie? If you want to watch it, it'll release on Vudu. I love this. I can hear the wheels turning. What we got, boys?
This movie will be called Dusseldorf 30. I was just going to go with the Blair Witch Project originally.
Yeah. Here's a couple. Can y'all see that?
Oh, cool.
That's Rourke's character. Here is what seems to be like a witch or an elf of some kind, a Rumpelstiltskin.
Excellent.
Rumpelstiltskin might be in this movie. Doge?
I don't know. I'm thinking. Hang on. I'm thinking really hard.
I can tell.
This movie is called Der Fury Tale.
Oh, nice.
This movie is worse than what y'all had. This movie is called War Hunt.
Ew.
That sucks.
Isn't that bad?
That's
It feels like a Mad Lib. It feels like an auto-generated name.
War
That's kind of
Hunt?
lazy. War Hunt.
That's such a bummer.
That sucks.
Yeah, I've got another one for us.
Yes.
This one comes out the same day. It's rated PG. It's a family flick. It's an hour and 42 minutes long. This one stars Dennis Quaid and Queen Latifah.
Amazing.
Whoa.
Amazing.
Okay. Now that's a name I've not heard
Everybody's
in a long
favorite
time.
duo.
You had bubble throat a little bit when you were saying that.
Queen Latifah and Dennis Quaid star in this beloved tale based on the New York Times best-selling book by Kate DiCamillo. When 12-year-old Rob Horton, played by Christian Convery, discovers a caged tiger in the woods near his home, his imagination runs wild and life begins to change in the most unexpected ways. With the help of a wise and mysterious maid, Willie Mae, Queen Latifah's character, Willie Mae, and the stubborn new girl in school, played by Madeline Mills, he navigates through childhood memories, heartache, and wondrous adventures in this heartwarming adaptation. The name of this film?
I think it's called Tiger.
I was going to make a Calvin and Hobbes joke.
No, it's not Calvin and Hobbes because Bill Watterson is very protective of his IP and he won't license it out to anybody.
I mean, that's probably smart.
Well, yeah, but think about all the money he could make from all the Calvin Tinkle stickers that are on people's
I
cars.
think he's probably got all the money, the Calvin and Hobbes money he needs for now is my guess.
All that pissing on other brands of cars and flipping you off stuff, you know?
Love that. Love that.
Love that little scamp with all
I love
his,
when Calvin
with all his pee that he keeps stored in his body to give to the brands he hates.
I love when Calvin gets his mischievous chocolate mixed up with that South Park peanut butter and just really makes a Reese's of terror.
We have the guess of Tiger from Doge.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Uncaged.
Ooh.
Nice. It is called The Tiger Rising.
I mean, yeah.
The Tiger Rising,
Okay.
which we'll just have to give.
Cool. Sure.
I guess to Doge on that one. I've got one more.
That bestseller,
really quick.
that New York Times bestseller we all know and love.
Yeah, exactly. I've got an Alicia Silverstone movie for you guys. January 28th release about sharks. There's terror in paradise when Jalen, Alicia Silverstone, and Kyle, played by James Tupper, arrive at a remote seaside villa in Vietnam for a romantic getaway. A torrential storm descends, reducing the villa to little more than a raft and sweeping the young couple out to sea. Suddenly, another danger appears. A school of great white sharks. With her injured husband watching helplessly, Jalen must battle the deadly predators alone in this tense thriller that rides an unrelenting wave of fear.
This movie is called Raft. I'm real into my single word titles today.
I need to go get another cup of coffee, so I'm he's like, I'm throwing a name out so I can go get another cup of coffee when this episode ends. This movie called Chompers. Chomp with a Z, Chompers.
The movie is called The Requiem, which is just like
what?
It's French for shark.
Who knows?
But they're in Vietnam.
The Requiem?
There's a lot of our content today that doesn't make sense.
The shark will bite onto Alicia Silverstone. The Requiem.
Be Requiem. To end today's episode. To end today's episode, I'd love your name. And give me a vehicle that would have made the street youths a little bit more respectable to be riding in this chase scene in Boba Fett episode.
Oh, but it's 3. So hard because they had such cool ones.
They did have such cool ones. I'm Carter, and I'm saying just give me the Star Wars version of Heelys.
I'm not even kidding you. I was about to say Heelys.
Too late. You don't get to because I did. Because it's perfect. If they want to lean into
wouldn't that be like the rocket boots that Channing Tatum wears in Jupiter Ascending? That's basically Space Heelys, right?
Kind of, yeah. But it would be different.
I'm Doge. Give me Harry Osborn's Green Goblin snowboard from Spider-Man 3.
That's pretty dope.
I'm so bummed by their presence and their whole vibe that it's not even fun to joke about them.
That's because you haven't heard mine yet. I'm Jordan, and the answer is segways. Bunch of mall cops.
Speed. That's about how fast they were going.
Speaking of segways, our episode's over.